Hello everyone, this is Zohaib Tahir from ZMETS and today we are going to talk about autonomic nervous system. So first of all, we will have a general overview of autonomic nervous system. Actually, there are two kinds of systems going on in our body to regulate the daily functions of the body, which includes hormonal system consisting of endocrine glands and exocrine glands, and number two is the nervous system. So nervous system has a larger division, we will see it today. It works with endocrine system to regulate the body functions. For example, we have adrenal medulla, which releases epinephrine and norepinephrine, and norepinephrine is used as a neurotransmitter. So in the nervous system there will be electrical impulses fired from one region and it will reach the other to carry the information from the nervous system to the effector organ or from the receptor organ to the nervous system for the modulation. So those substances which are responsible to carry the electrical impulses are known as neurotransmitters or neuromediator substances. So drugs which affect the ANS means autonomic nervous system, are known as the autonomic drugs. These can be both mimetic or lytics. So those drugs who are going with the natural flow, means improving the autonomic function, known as the sympathomimetics or parasympathomimetics, and if the drugs are going against, then those are known as the sympatholytics or parasympatholytics or antagonists. Now we have the division of nervous system. So there are two major divisions: central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Central nervous system that exists right on the central axis of the body. If we pass a straight plane vertically through the body, then you will see that brain and spinal cord, these two organs come into the plane. Then peripheral nervous system means on the periphery of the central axis, which includes neurons. So peripheral nervous system can be further divided into two categories. Number one is efferent and number two is afferent. Efferent means from the CNS to the tissues. So those neurons which are going to carry the information from central nervous system, means brain or spinal cord, to tissues, and those neurons which are going to take the information from the periphery or the peripheral organs or the peripheral receptors or the peripheral nerve endings to the central nervous system, that includes brain and spinal cord, are known as the afferent. Then we have different functions of peripheral nervous systems. For example, we have efferent peripheral nervous system, which has to carry the impulses from the CNS to the effector organs, means away from the central nervous system. So it includes voluntary actions that comes under the somatic system. So skeletal muscles are under the voluntary control, which comes in the somatic system. Then autonomic system, that is involuntary in nature, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles and glands. These are the three major divisions that come under the autonomic system. So here is the division: central nervous system, peripheral nervous system. Then in peripheral nervous system, afferent and efferent. In efferent we have somatic system and autonomic system. Then we have two basic neurons. If we divide the ANS into on the basis of anatomy, then ANS can be divided into preganglionic neurons and postganglionic neurons. Preganglionic neurons means before ganglia. So ganglia is a cluster of nerve endings where specific type of neurons reach and terminate, while the rest of the neurons start their journey from that particular point known as the ganglia. So pre means before and ganglionic means before ganglia. So those neurons which are before ganglia are known as the preganglionic. CNS origin and synapses in the ganglia. Postganglionic means after the ganglia. So it travels from the ganglia to the effector organ. Then comes afferent fibers. Afferent fibers are those fibers which have to carry the impulses from the effector organ towards the central nervous system. So they have to carry the sensory input. So for example, your finger touches any hot surface, then message has to be transmitted from the finger to the central nervous system or to the peripheral nervous system or whatever it is. So the afferent fibers come into the action. They are going to carry the information of the hot object from the receptor, from the periphery towards the central nervous system to make any kind of response against that stimulus. Next we have sympathetic nervous system. So sympathetic nervous system is very simple. There are two regions from which the sympathetic nervous system originates. Number one is thoracic region and number two is lumbar region. Thoracic region is the region of the thoracic cavity, or you can say the chest cavity, while the lumbar region or the lumbar spine is just below the thoracic cavity, making your back, means your lower back. So it ranges from the vertebrae number T1 to vertebrae number L2. There are some specifications of the sympathetic nervous system which are not present in the parasympathetic. Obviously, parasympathetic is going to act opposite to the sympathetic nervous system. The preganglionic of the sympathetic nervous system is short, while postganglionic fiber is long. What is the case in the parasympathetic? We'll see later on. It has broad activation via branching neurons. What does it mean? That there will be one neuron proliferating or originating from T1 to T2, but there will be extensive branching of the neurons after that one preganglionic neuron. So there will be one neuron innervating, one preganglionic neuron innervating multiple postganglionic neurons. Number two, adrenal medulla releases. So acetylcholine, we will discuss it later, but it terminates on the adrenal medulla and causes the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. This is the basic function of sympathetic nervous system, that is the activation of sympathetic nervous system, means creating the situation to handle the emergency. Next we have parasympathetic nervous system that originates from the cranial nerves, which includes cranial nerve 3, 7, 9 and 10, and the sacral region. Sacral region is the lower and lower back, okay, means just below the lumbar region. In this case, preganglionic fiber is long and short postganglionic fiber, and vagus nerve constitutes about 90% of preganglionic fiber. So most abundant nerve is the vagus nerve. So ganglia is just near the target organ, while in case of sympathetic, the ganglia is near the spinal cord. Here is the structure of the sympathetic and parasympathetic division. You can see here, you can see brain and the spinal cord from which neurons are originating and then innervating the different organs. We will discuss the detail of this later on lectures, inshallah. Then we have the enteric nervous system. Enteric nervous system is often modulated by the autonomic nervous system, but most of the time it functions independently as well. So there is a network of the GI tract which includes esophagus, then stomach, after that small intestine, large intestine, three parts of the small intestine as well, pancreas, gallbladder. These all function together in order to digest the food or to stop the digestion in case of the sympathetic nervous system activation. So what are the functions involved in the enteric nervous system? To control the motility. Motility is important to carry the drug from or carry the food from mouth to the anus to expel the feces, and secretions to digest the food. So for example, the pancreatic juice secretion or the saliva secretion, and microcirculation, that is important to provide the nutrients to the GI tract as well, or the portal circulation as well. Then comes the functions that I have already told you, that it is modulated by the autonomic nervous system, but it can also function independently.